You're not lazy. You're overstimulated. And I know that sounds like one of those things people say online to make you feel better for doing absolutely nothing all day. But stay with me. Because there is a real difference between being lazy and being mentally overloaded. You ever open your phone for one small thing? You tell yourself, I'm just checking the weather. Then somehow, 37 minutes later, you're watching a man restore a rusty knife from 1894. Someone in the comments is arguing about oat milk, and you have no idea how you got there. Then you put the phone down and feel guilty. Not even because you had fun. That's the worst part. You weren't even enjoying yourself. You were just consuming. You had plans. You were going to clean your room. Answer that message. Start that project. Go to the gym. Maybe become that mysterious, disciplined version of yourself who drinks enough water, owns matching socks, and somehow always knows where their keys are. But instead, you feel heavy. Not sleepy exactly. More like your brain has too many tabs open, one of them is playing music, one of them is frozen, and none of them will admit which one is causing the problem. So you call yourself lazy. You say, I have no discipline. You say, I'm wasting my life. You say, tomorrow I'll change everything. Then tomorrow comes, and within 10 minutes of waking up, your phone is in your hand again, your brain is already full of noise, and normal life feels strangely impossible. But what if laziness is not the real issue? What if your brain is not refusing to work because you are weak? What if it is refusing to work because it has been sitting under a fire hose of stimulation all day? Because constant scrolling does not just waste time. That is the basic explanation. The deeper problem is this. Scrolling trains your brain to expect reward without effort, novelty without commitment, emotion without action, entertainment without rest. And when your brain gets used to that, real life starts to feel painfully slow. Reading a book feels like punishment. Washing dishes feels like a medieval sentence. Opening your laptop feels like opening a portal where every unfinished responsibility in your life is waiting with a clipboard. And then you wonder why motivation feels dead. But maybe it is not dead. Maybe it is buried. Buried under noise. Buried under notifications. Buried under 10,000 tiny pieces of content your brain was never meant to process in one afternoon. So let's talk about what is actually happening. Most people confuse laziness with overstimulation. Laziness is when you have the energy, clarity, and capacity to do something, but you simply choose not to. Overstimulation is different. Overstimulation is when your nervous system has taken in so much input that even simple actions start to feel expensive. You look at a task that should take 5 minutes, and somehow it feels like it requires a government permit, 3 witnesses, and a blood oath. Reply to one message. Impossible. Fold laundry. Let's not get political. Open the laptop. Absolutely not. That thing has consequences inside it. That is not always laziness. A lot of the time, that is mental saturation. Your brain is not designed to process an infinite buffet of headlines, opinions, jokes, tragedies, arguments, ads, memes, tutorials, life updates, thirst traps, motivational quotes, and people filming themselves doing completely normal things with cinematic lighting. We act like scrolling is relaxing. But most scrolling is not rest. It is input. Rest gives your brain space to recover. Scrolling gives your brain more to process. It looks passive from the outside. You are just sitting there, thumb moving, face glowing like a Victorian child, seeing electricity for the first time. But inside, your brain is working. Every second, it is making tiny decisions. Do I care about this? Is this funny? Is this threatening? Should I compare myself to this person? Should I buy this? Should I be angry? Should I feel behind because a 22-year-old just posted a tour of their minimalist apartment with a sunrise view and a dog named Atlas? That is not nothing. That is work. Strange work, but work. And after enough of it, your brain starts to say, I'm full. Not full in a peaceful way, Full in the way your laptop is full when it has 4% battery, 17 tabs open, and the fan sounds like it is preparing for takeoff. And here is the trap. When your brain feels full, it does not always ask for real rest. A lot of the time, it asks for more stimulation. You feel drained, so you scroll. The scrolling drains you more. Then, because you are more drained, real life feels harder. So you scroll again. Now you are stuck in a loop where the thing you use to escape the problem is also feeding the problem. This is why telling yourself, just have discipline, often does not work. Discipline is harder when your nervous system is already overloaded. That is like trying to start a workout after someone has been throwing tennis balls at your head for 6 hours. Technically, yes, you could still do it. But maybe first, stop getting hit in the face. So why does scrolling destroy motivation? First, novelty overload. Your brain loves new things. New things used to mean food, danger, opportunity, or gossip about who got kicked out of the tribe. And let's be honest, the gossip probably carried the whole system. Social media is a novelty machine. Every swipe asks the same question, what's next? Maybe the next post is boring. Maybe it is funny. Maybe it is shocking. Maybe it is useful. Maybe it is completely unhinged, and now you need to know how the raccoon got into the wedding venue. Your brain does not know. And that uncertainty keeps you pulling the lever. Swipe. Reward. Swipe. Reward. Swipe. Maybe reward. Swipe. Definitely not reward. But now you are annoyed, so you keep swiping to find a better reward. And because the next hit is always one movement away, normal tasks start to feel flat. Writing, studying, cleaning, editing, applying for jobs, building a business, going to the gym. All of those have delayed reward. Effort first, reward later. Scrolling flips that. Reward first, effort never. Over time, your motivation gets spoiled. Not because you are a bad person. Because your brain has been trained on a luxury diet of instant novelty. It is like feeding your brain candy every 10 seconds, then asking it to get excited about boiled broccoli. The second reason is attention fragmentation. Motivation needs attention. You cannot want something clearly if your mind is being sliced into confetti every few seconds. A lot of people think motivation comes before focus. They think, when I feel motivated, I'll focus. But often, it works the other way around. Focus creates motivation. When you stay with one task long enough, your brain starts to warm up. At first, the task feels horrible. Then it becomes slightly less horrible. Then you understand the next step. Then the next one. Then you build a little momentum. Suddenly, the task is not this giant shadow monster in the corner. It is just a thing. But scrolling prevents that warm-up. It teaches your attention to leave before anything gets deep. It is like trying to boil water while taking the pot off the stove every 12 seconds, then getting mad at the water for not being committed to personal growth. Focus needs time. Depth needs time. Motivation needs time. But scrolling teaches your brain that time without novelty is a problem. The third reason is emotional overload. When you scroll, you are not just consuming information. You are consuming emotional whiplash. 1 second, it is a joke. Next second, it is a tragedy. Next second, it is someone's engagement. Next second, it is a political fight. Next second, it is a recipe. Next second, it is someone with flawless skin telling you your pillowcase is the reason your life is falling apart. Your nervous system keeps switching states. Laugh, compare, worry, desire, judge, envy, fear. Laugh again. That is exhausting. And when your emotions are exhausted, motivation drops. Because motivation is not just a thought. It is a state. You need enough internal calm to say, I am going to move towards something. But if your brain has spent the morning being dragged through every possible human emotion by a rectangle in your hand, of course your real-life goals feel distant. Of course studying feels boring. Of course the gym feels impossible. Of course, cleaning your room feels like a personal attack. Your brain is not calm enough to care. It is just trying to survive the noise. Then there is comparison. Scrolling gives you access to everyone's highlight reel, everyone's face, everyone's progress, everyone's vacation, everyone's transformation, everyone's "I quit my job and now I make 6 figures selling digital templates" story. And even when you know it is curated, your brain still absorbs it. You do not compare your behind the scenes to their behind the scenes. You compare your Tuesday afternoon in sweatpants to their professionally edited victory montage. And that does something quiet but dangerous. It makes your own life feel dull. Worse, it makes effort feel pointless. Because if everyone seems miles ahead, your brain starts asking one poisonous question. Why even start? Why start the gym when that person already has the perfect body? Why start the business when someone else is already making money? Why learn the skill when everyone online seems better? Comparison does not just make you feel bad. It makes action feel useless. And when action feels useless, motivation disappears. And the sneakiest part? Scrolling gives you the feeling of doing something without the result of doing something. You watch productivity videos. You save workout routines. You like posts about discipline. You collect business ideas. You listen to someone explain how to change your life in 6 steps while you are lying in bed like a Victorian ghost recovering from bad news. And because your brain engaged with the idea of change, you get a small feeling of progress. But nothing actually changed. No room was cleaned. No email was sent. No paragraph was written. No walk was taken. No uncomfortable action happened. Just more information. And more information is not always the answer. Sometimes information is just procrastination wearing glasses. So how do you know if you are overstimulated? You feel tired but wired. Your body wants rest, but your mind keeps reaching for input. You keep switching tasks but finishing nothing. You avoid silence. The second there is a quiet moment, you grab your phone like it owes you money. Small tasks feel huge. You crave stimulation, but the stimulation does not satisfy you. You can scroll for an hour and somehow feel both full and empty, like you ate an entire bag of chips and gained no nourishment. Only regret and suspicious orange dust. And here is the important one. You have trouble starting, but once something forces you into motion, you can sometimes continue. That is a big clue. Because most people who call themselves lazy are actually stressed about not doing the thing. They feel guilty. They keep thinking about it. They keep saying, "I need to start." They want to do it. That is not laziness. That is a blocked system. Imagine a car with the engine flooded. You can sit there yelling, "This car has no discipline." But the issue is mechanical. Same with you. Shame is usually a terrible mechanic. It does not fix the system. It just makes you feel worse. And when you feel worse, you reach for more stimulation to escape feeling worse. Then you fall further behind. Then you feel more shame. Then you scroll more. And the loop keeps going. So the way out is not to insult yourself into becoming a new person. The way out is to reduce the input, rebuild tolerance for normal life, and make starting feel possible again. Now the internet loves dramatic resets. Delete every app, wake up at 5. No dopamine for 30 days. Cold shower, raw liver, stare at wall, become warrior. Listen. If that works for you, beautiful. May your ice baths build character and may your raw liver do whatever raw liver is supposed to do. But for most people, extreme resets fail because they rely on intensity instead of design. You get one burst of motivation. You delete everything. You feel powerful for 6 hours. Then by night, you are reinstalling the apps with the focus of a hacker in a movie. The goal is not to become a person who never wants stimulation. That is not realistic. You are a human being, not a stone statue with a morning routine. The goal is to stop letting stimulation drive the car. You do not need to throw your phone into the ocean. Also, please do not. The ocean has enough problems. You need a reset simple enough to do when you are already overstimulated. So here it is. First, stop calling it laziness. For the next 7 days, stop saying, "I'm lazy." Say, "I'm overstimulated, and I need to lower the input." That is not just positive thinking. It changes the next action. If you think you are lazy, the solution becomes shame. If you think you are overstimulated, the solution becomes regulation. Not, "What is wrong with me?" Ask, "What has my brain been consuming today?" Not, "Why can't I just do it?" Ask, "What would make starting smaller?" Not, "How do I become a disciplined machine?" Ask, "What input can I remove for the next hour?" The label matters because the label chooses the tool. If a room is too loud, you do not motivate your ears. You turn down the volume. Second, make your phone boring before you try to make yourself disciplined. Do not rely on willpower against a device engineered by people with salaries, stock options, and access to behavioral data. That is not a fair fight. That is you in pajamas versus a casino with notifications. So make the phone less interesting. Turn off non-human notifications. Apps do not get to tap you on the shoulder all day unless there is an actual person involved or something truly important. Move your most addictive apps off the home screen, not into a cute little folder called productivity, because we both know what is in there. Put them somewhere annoying. Make your thumb work like it is applying for a visa. Use grayscale if you can tolerate it. Your phone becomes instantly less delicious. Log out of the apps that steal the most time. Not forever. Just add friction. Because friction is your friend. A lot of bad habits survive because they are too easy. You do not need to destroy the habit in one heroic moment. Sometimes you just need to make the habit slightly more annoying than doing something else. And here is the big one. No scrolling in transition moments, waiting for food, sitting on the bus, standing in an elevator, waiting for your laptop to load, going to the bathroom. These moments used to let your brain breathe. Now we pack every gap with input. For the next week, pick one transition moment where you do not use your phone. Just one. Maybe it is the first 10 minutes after waking up. Maybe it is while eating breakfast. Maybe it is the bathroom. And yes, I am saying your ancestors crossed mountains and survived winters so you could reclaim the bathroom from TikTok. Honor the bloodline. One phone-free gap per day teaches your brain, silence will not kill me. Third, use the 10-minute restart. When you are overstimulated, do not tell yourself, "I need to fix my whole life today." That sentence is how you end up lying down for 3 hours while mentally renovating your entire personality. Instead, pick one task and do the first 10 minutes. Not finish it, not perfect it. Just start it for 10 minutes. Set a timer. Choose something boring and concrete. Open the document. Wash 10 dishes. Put clothes in the hamper. Write 3 bad sentences. Answer 1 email. Walk outside for 10 minutes. The goal is not productivity. The goal is re-entry. You are proving to your brain that real-world action is still possible. And during those 10 minutes, you are not allowed to judge the quality. Because overstimulated brains love judgment. Judgment is dramatic. Judgment feels important. Judgment lets you stay in your head instead of doing the thing. No. For 10 minutes, you become a humble little action robot. Not a genius, not a failure, just a person moving objects through space. After 10 minutes, you can stop with dignity. Seriously, you are allowed to stop, but many times, starting melts the resistance. Motivation often shows up late. It is not the friend who picks you up. It is the friend who arrives after you already got to the restaurant and says, "What did I miss?" Start without it. Let it catch up. Fourth, choose lower stimulation before higher stimulation. The answer is not no pleasure. That is how people turn self-improvement into a prison sentence. You need fun. You need relief. You need little joys that make life feel like something other than a calendar with consequences. But you need to sequence the stimulation. Low first, high later. Low stimulation is walking, stretching, showering, sitting outside, making tea, cleaning one's surface, reading a few pages, or staring out the window like a dramatic main character who has finally had enough. High stimulation is social media, YouTube's binges, gaming, online shopping, group chat chaos, or whatever app currently has custody of your frontal lobe. You are not banning high stimulation. You are just not letting it be the first thing that grabs your brain. Because if you start the day with maximum stimulation, normal life cannot compete. It is like eating dessert for breakfast and then wondering why plain oatmeal does not have charisma. So, before your first scroll session, do one low-stimulation activity for 10 minutes. Walk, shower, clean one's surface, sit with coffee and no phone. Let your brain land in the day before you let the internet move in with luggage. And finally, create a tiny evening reset. At night, your goal is not to become perfect. It is to lower tomorrow's friction. Pick 3 small actions. Put your phone across the room. Write down the first task for tomorrow. Clear one visible surface. That is it. Do not make a 12-step nighttime routine unless you enjoy failing with ambience. And make tomorrow's first task stupidly clear. Not work on business. Write. Open laptop and write the first paragraph. Not get healthy. Write. Put on shoes and walk for 10 minutes. Not fix life. Nobody knows what that means. That is not a task. That is a cry for help wearing a productivity hat. Make it concrete. Make it small. Make it so obvious that even tired you can understand it. Because tired you is the person who will actually have to do it. So if you have been feeling lazy, consider a different possibility. Maybe you are not lazy. Maybe your brain is tired from being asked to process too much, too fast, too often. Maybe your motivation is not gone. Maybe it is buried under noise. And the way back is not self-hatred. It is not a dramatic life purge. Doing 10 minutes of real action. Choosing low stimulation pleasure before high stimulation escape. And giving your brain enough quiet to want things again. Because that is what motivation really is. It is not constant hype. It is not waking up every day feeling like the main character in a training montage. Motivation is your mind having enough space to care. So today, do not try to fix your entire life. One honest moment where you stop attacking yourself and start adjusting the environment. You are not a broken machine. You are a human being living inside an attention economy that profits when you forget you have a body, a room, a future, and dishes in the sink. Start small. Turn the volume down. Let your brain breathe.